What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, we're going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and some very important things that we need to be looking out for from a technical analysis perspective. I'm also going to be answering the question, when is Tesla actually going to explode? When are we actually going to break all-time highs? How do I see this actually breaking out? Now, before I say anything about the technical analysis, before I talk about what the charts are actually showing, I do have to mention some very important things first. First off, I'm not a financial planner. This is all for educational purposes only, so do not take this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and into the description. If you do sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're not only going to qualify for up to 5 free stocks, each worth up to $3,500, but you're also going to have the chance to win up to $200,000, as Moomoo is currently giving away $200,000 to a lucky winner for the new year. So if you want this opportunity, guys, once again, check out the link down below and deposit $100 for 5 free stocks and a chance to win $200,000. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So, looking at Tesla, we're currently in the green, up about 2.08%. Now, even though Tesla was a little bit in the green on Friday, right, I do need to talk about what the macro perspective is actually showing for Tesla. So, if we look at the way Tesla has been moving, obviously it's been on this downward trend. We don't even need to look at other indicators like the MACD or the RSI or the VWAP to basically figure out how this is moving. If we look at this from the grand scheme of things, we're basically respecting a falling wedge formation, and we do continue to respect it as time goes on. Now, the question is, are we going to continue to respect this in the future? And the answer is most likely it does look that way. Now, Tesla's share price right now is dependent on the overall market because the SPY and the NASDAQ, they tend to move similarly. Not exactly the same, but similar to that of Tesla. I mean, you guys can see the same formation, as we do have a falling wedge-like formation for the NASDAQ too. But I want to talk about, how is this going to affect Tesla, and where do I see Tesla moving in the future? Well, guys, when it comes to Tesla exploding, the past, okay, the past is a good indicator of what the future holds, right? We could actually study the future based off what the past has shown us. So we have a falling wedge. What does this mean for Tesla going forward? This means for the short term, we're probably going to respect this because the market's not in the best of state based off what's going on with, the Evergrande, the Chinese situation, to what the Fed is doing, to what the SEC is doing, to interest rates going up, to the Fed tapering on the bond purchasing, to all these things that are causing Tesla to actually drop, even if they've done nothing wrong. I mean, they absolutely killed it on their last earnings report. They did nothing wrong, yet the share price dropped. But anyways, look at this right here. We have some interesting price movements from Tesla from the past that can help us understand the future and the present. So there's a formation known as a falling wedge. I think I pinpointed some examples of it in the past, and it could basically help us understand what happened to Tesla. So here's the simplest way of looking at it. So let's go back in time, guys, to the year 2020. I'm sure you guys remember that year. It was such a crazy year. Remember, Tesla was at $189 a share. If you account for the splits and everything like that, it would have been at $189 a share. After the lockdowns, ended up unfolding, after the situation unfolded, Tesla dropped all the way down to, I would say, $60 a share. Yeah, around $60 to $70 a share. So we ended up dropping really hard. Okay, we went one third what we once were. If you put in $1,000, it would be worth one third what it was at that time. And if you sold at the bottom, you would have missed out on this big recovery that came after. We dropped super hard, right? We formed the falling wedge, which is a very bullish formation. When the reversal comes, then we ended up running all the way up to 500, guys. So like I said before, if a person, and I'm not trying to give you guys financial advice, right? But hypothetically, if Joe Schmo sold all his shares down here, he would have missed out on this big run, and he wouldn't have just recovered his money. He could have made massive returns. Now let's look at another example. So I'm using a logarithmic scale, so it looks kind of weird sometimes, but this is actually the scale that a lot of the big institutions use, which is why I use this all the time. So if you use this view, guys, look at this falling wedge right here. Okay, let's zoom into it. At one point, we ran up to $465. Then we dropped really hard towards October of 2020, down to about 379. People were probably panicking, saying it's the end of Tesla, this and that. Okay, what happened after that? What happened after that? We ran all the way up to 900. Okay, people saying it's the end of Tesla down here. If they sold down here and panicked, we actually recovered pretty quickly within a couple of months, and we hit all-time highs at that time. Okay, here's another example. Then we have what happened in 2021. Obviously, it was a pretty tough year with the supply constraints and what happened with the global chip shortage. Well, guys, we entered a Wyckoff accumulation schematic. At least you could kind of like look at it that way. And as we were dipping, we traded a little bit sideways. Now, you could argue that we had a falling wedge here, but then the thing about that is it wasn't necessarily the end of the wedge, and we were in a very like kind of bearish market, and at least for EVs alone. And what happened to Tesla was, look, we have another example of it forming right here. We crashed really hard, okay, in May. We went from $784, then we dropped all the way down to 500. That's a huge, huge, huge crash. Then what happened was we had a slow recovery. We slowly started going up. From a Wyckoff perspective, that would be phase C and phase D of the accumulation schematic. Before we entered phase C, had a big run all the way up to our all-time highs of 1,243. So a simple way of looking at it is whenever Tesla drops, guys, it's going to bounce back eventually, most likely, right? Nothing in the market is guaranteed. I can't promise anything, but I will tell you one thing. It's very probable we're going to see a very good recovery, right? That's when we hit the end of this wedge. Now, we could break out of this wedge at any moment, right? Theoretically, but then based off what the market is doing, it doesn't look like it's going to happen that quickly, right? Tesla may continue to trade sideways, maybe, follow this. We could start to like kind of break out, which is why you could kind of like move it. Hold on, let me delete that. We could kind of like, if this were to run a little bit up to like the $950 range, we can kind of like adjust this and it could still respect the wedge, right? Because this is not necessarily a fixed state at which this wedge is in. So what could play out is we continue to trade sideways, we continue to drop a little bit more. And the thing is, and the thing about panic selling, because some people have been talking about that, this thing could go like this, hypothetically. Don't just look at the dates and say I'm saying this. And then we could just break out like that and like start to run up, right? That's a hypothetical example, and we'd still respect the falling wedge. Or we could just drop, trade sideways like this, couple of months, start to run up. That's when we started breaking out of it. Start a slow run up, slowly, 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 slowly. Then we have big pieces of news coming out, and boom, all-time highs. That's just another example, right? So it's just a matter of when do we actually break out of this falling wedge? When do we see us starting to consolidate and then start to run up? I don't truly know the answer, guys. And it's just a matter of time, in my opinion, right? But at the end of the day, guys, I just feel like you can't just, if you're one of those people that doesn't like to time the market, unless you're a day trader or if you like to buy calls, that's really your choice. But if you are someone that's in for the long term, which I presume the majority of people that watch this channel are, if you are in for the long term, go back to this right here, this falling wedge right here. Go back to right here, another example, because we're eventually going to bounce back. And when we bounce back, guys, it's going to be a very, very hard reversal. So Tesla is like a slingshot. The market is like a slingshot. You can drop it really far down. Once it hits that bottom, once it's ready to start rebounding, guys, it may slowly curl up and then boom, we're going to see a lot of green when we recover, in my opinion. That's the way I see this market, guys. There's so much money in circulation right now. There's so much money on the sidelines that you just have to be patient. I can't give you a true answer as to when I know this is going to happen. I do think it may take a couple of weeks for us to actually start to show signs of a rebound. I could be wrong, and I'm not trying to make predictions, but I just want to prepare you. I want to educate you. I want to let you guys know if you're in this for the long term, remember, eventually we're going to recover and we're going to break all time highs again, most definitely. And it's not the end for Tesla. So don't necessarily sleep on this company. Fundamentally, it's a great company. The stock price may not reflect that, but it still is a fantastic company that has a lot of room to run. And I'm still super, super bullish for the future. So that's what I have for this one. And thank you for listening. Please don't just lose faith in the company like that. It may be frustrating, but I'm still very bullish for the future. that's what I have for this one. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Watch some football tomorrow, and I'll see you in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.